Alright, hi there, and welcome to my 22.2 exercise prescription. Contraindications are something that really affect the exercise that you get prescribed, and there are two types of it. So you've got absolute and relative. So absolute is a factor that is stopping you completely doing an activity. So you're completely like physiologically, maybe even psychologically unable to do the activity. As you can see there, it could be something like pregnancy. So you definitely 100% should not be doing something such as like full contact rugby in a competitive league when you're pregnant. But on the other hand, there's relative contraindications that are something to keep an eye on, but not something that can completely stop you doing the activity. So you can see it says allowed to do, but under medical supervision. So, for example, something such as diabetes, you've got to make sure you're keeping an eye on your diet. But as long as you are keeping an eye on your diet and your blood sugar, then you're okay to do most activities. The first group I've chosen is children. So the three contraindications I've got is diabetes, obesity, and weaker bones. So children, a lot like the top two I've got, most people can get, but weaker bones is something that is most of the time children specific because they're still going through the osteoporosis process. So their bones are not fully developed yet, and the epiphyseal plate hasn't hardened yet. So for the exercise for diabetes type 2 specifically, you want to be walking for at least 120 minutes between 2 days. So every 2 days, and then you have a rest day in between. You want to be running. You want to be walking 120 minutes of just normal walking. That's just to burn the some fats, and it's just good for your whole body and immune system. Um, Obesity. So any energy expenditure that entails you burning at least 300 kcal a day, and this should be done at least 3 to 7 times a week. But for the best results, obviously 7 days a week is the best way to do this. So that's what I'd recommend. 300 kcals of exercise. So whether it's on a treadmill, it will tell you how many you've burnt, or on a stairmaster, it will tell you once you've got to 300 kcals. For weaker bones, I'd recommend 1 to 3 hikes. So with weaker bones, you wanna it would be better for you to be walking similar to diabetes, 120 minutes between 2 days, every 2 days. It's good, but with the weaker bones, you want to be walking on more uneven surfaces in order to get the body more adapted to having to bend the foot and the bones in different positions to like a normal flat walking surface. So group two, contraindications for elderly people. They can get osteoporosis, which is bone problems, and they can also get coronary heart disease, and they can get high blood pressure or hypertension, as it's also known as. Um, for osteoporosis, I'd recommend 3 times per week, 30 minutes of aerobic activity at local running clubs. So I know in Brighton they have the Hove Hornets running club where anyone can turn up and do the running, and as long as they're tracking that they've done 30 minutes, then that will be good for them 3 times a week. And then also circuit training, for 4 exercises. So we're doing press ups, sit ups, bodyweight squats, and skipping. So this is nothing that's really going to jolt the body or cause serious harm to joints. It's more going to aid the joints and allow for better flexibility and better with their heart, and most importantly, good for their bones. So they're not just going to go on a steep decline of how good condition their bones are in. For coronary heart disease, I'd recommend 30 minutes of aerobic activity 5 days a week from playing local football club. So a lot of the time now they have specific leagues that are for elderly people. So they for maybe, for example, 50 and above, they'll have a league for that. So it's never going to be really high pace where an elderly person's body is going to be forced to push more and get more out of it than it needs to. So everyone will be on an equal playing field with these higher leagues. And it's really good for the heart, obviously, running around. Um, and then a full body workout, and they'll repeat a circuit 3 times a week with bodyweight squats, sit-ups, and press-ups with knees on the ground. So knees on the ground in order to make the press-ups a lot easier, so there's no serious strain being put on the wrists or the feet or the abs. And then they'll also be doing bicep dumbbell curls and dumbbell shoulder press. All of the exercises should be done with 20 reps of each and should all be repeated in the order I've said them in 3 times. So it's a full body workout just to burn fat in the right places, keep the blood pressure low, and just keep the heart pumping, which it will be good for it to avoid coronary heart disease. High blood pressure. So for this, I've said 30 minutes of aerobic activity every day for 5 days. So you can do it whatever days you choose to within the week, but as long as you're doing it at least 5 days, then you can have 2 days of muscle strengthening activities with 20 reps each of bench press, body weight squats, and dumbbell rows. So all quite essential movements just to burn fat in big muscle groups in order to stop the capillaries being so vasoconstricted, and they'll be more dilated and the blood pressure will hopefully go down. So the final group is obesity. The contraindications I've got is that a lot of the time they'll have a reduced range of movement. Diabetes, like children, is also a problem, more of a serious problem with actual obese people, and hypertension, so also high blood pressure. So every day there should be static stretching and PNF stretching. So this is with a partner assisting the stretch, and this is to allow the muscles to stretch further than they are used to, which will force them to adapt. So with PNF, the reason it's essential to have your partner with you is because it allows you to stretch certain muscles such as the legs, the arms, and the shoulders further than you would be able to just by stretching it yourself. So it involves a lot of exhaling and then stretching it further and further and further. And this is really good for range of movement because it will obviously stretch the muscles into a kind of length that they've never been at, which will be really good for them and the range of movement. So they'll soon eventually adapt if they're consistent with doing this every day. And then this should be done every day in the arms and legs. So yeah, every day consistently, really helping with that range of movement. PNF stretching should do. With diabetes, for type 2, walking for at least 120 minutes between 2 days. And this is just to keep the body fat down. As long as the diet is good and they've been prescribed a diet with the amount of blood sugar that they need to get in, then this should be good for their blood pressure and maintaining a healthy body when having diabetes. Hypertension, 30 minutes of aerobic activity every day for 5 days, and then the 2 days where they're not doing the aerobic activity, they'll be doing the 2 days of muscle strengthening activities with 20 reps of bench press, bodyweight squats, and dumbbell rows. So again, same as elderly people, movements that will just help vasodilate the capillaries and will allow, hopefully, the overall blood pressure to go down. And that's obviously with a good diet in hand that they've hopefully been prescribed as well. Okay, that's finished. Thank you very much for watching.